Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Seth.
And welcome back to the Writers Room Game Show. It's been a while, Seth. I think it's been like close to 6 months since we've recorded an episode. It feels like maybe it's
been a
5
while
months
since I knew the words. Is that Nickelback? It's been a while.
Creed or Nickelback, something like that.
It's been a while. Yeah, that was my really good impression. Oh no, it's by Stained.
Stained.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
And since I could sing, man, Bebo.
Oh man, it's good to be back, Seth.
It is good to be back.
We've this is our Writers Room talk show. So if you're new to this podcast, every once in a while we'll do.
If you're new to this podcast,
and in between of our game show episodes where we're developing movies, we'll just get together and we'll talk about random topics. I think on this
or like when I run 30 minutes late because of picking up my kids from school and traffic. That's also, and we have a hard out at in 30 minutes. That's another reason we'll have a talk show episode.
That's how it be. And I think we talked about possibly just alternating this season between game show and talk show. It gives us a little extra time in between our game shows. And also we really enjoy
our own voices.
Yes, talking two white men on a podcast talking about movies.
It's the whole reason the medium was created.
Yes. We're like Smartless, except one less guy and not famous or rich.
One less guy and a lot less millions of dollars.
You just got a little shout out on Smartless the other day.
I did. Tony was kind enough to mention my name twice, and nobody cared. You could hear nobody caring.
I'm in Nashville right now because I'm doing a movie here with my friend Seth Worley, and it's like 2 hours from Alabama. So I went and visited some friends from college, and then, that's here. I'm doing a movie with my friend Seth Worley called Sketch, but I did that.
There wasn't any. Wait, who's Seth Worley? Tell us about him.
Oh, I know who Seth Worley is. He's like one of the hosts. He's the last charming host of the Writers Room Game Show podcast.
Seth, what have you been up to these past few months? Can you share about it? Is this something public knowledge?
But I think the easiest way for me to be able to share it would be. I shot my movie. I'm editing it right now. And while we record this podcast, I'm actually editing, sitting here.
And I'm ripping it apart with notes as we speak.
God, I hope and pray you are. That's very, very helpful. The movie's going well. It's, I think it's coming along. I mean, I'm on the dark side. When you're on a stretch, you have a stretch coming up of a trip and you're on the tail end of it. Is that what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, the tail end, yeah.
Yeah. I'm in the rear of the
caboose, so to speak.
I'm in the caboose of the misery train, which is the first assembly. What I did, I took some advice from some folks, and I focused on doing a first assembly reel. I cut it up into reels, even though it's not really necessary anymore, I guess, because we're not going on to film reels.
I'll say from a viewer's perspective, someone giving notes on a movie, it's actually really nice
to have it in reels.
Yes, and I'm sure from an editor's perspective, you get to focus on sequences and cutting that and not necessarily thinking about the grander thing until you put those together.
It was really good advice because it's allowed me to kind of do the really crappy first assembly where it's just about putting stuff in the timeline and feeling miserable, and then just focusing on making those reels watchable. And honestly, 90% of that work is audio cleanup. It's not even refining the edit. It's just adding crossfades and finding room tone in long takes that you forgot when you didn't get room tone.
Yes, making it so that people aren't commenting on that when they're watching the cut, but also knowing that there's going to be a professional sound mixer that's going through and making this actually sound good. And so you're like, why am I spending all my time doing this? But then realizing that I need to make this watchable for people so they're not just commenting on how bad the audio is.
And what's funny is I think in my head that I'm able to watch shitty audio, but I'm wrong because you can't see audio. You can't see sound. And the other reason is because it actually is stressing me out and messing with me to watch a cut with bad audio. And I know because if I don't touch the cut whatsoever visually and I just do audio cleanup pass, I am 80% less depressed about it. Anyway, the point is I'm focusing on making, I did a first assembly for each reel, and now I'm going through making each reel watchable and getting notes on those reels and doing my own notes on those. And then I'm going to implement all of those notes and then put everything in one timeline. And then we'll start the process of getting notes on that, iterating on that. And ideally, I'd love to picture lock by December so we can move into like VFX and everything.
So you can do years of VFX work.
I hope not and think not.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait to see your movie with VFX and see it in theaters with thousands of screaming fans.
All over the world. Just 1,000.
All over the world.
Total.
Dude, that's so great. Yeah, it's awesome that, I feel like, our group of friends, it's like we're all just trying to make a movie. So it's like so exciting to see you go and shoot one.
Thanks, man. It feels weird. It feels, not to be all therapy-like, but it does feel, I don't know how to put this. It feels like a one-off. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm like, finally making a movie so I can keep making more movies. It feels like I'm making this movie and then I'm just going to continue my life directing commercials and doing software marketing for like a software company. Like,
you're also like what, a month or a month and a half out of shooting it?
Yeah, but also I just know how much stuff is out there. And it's like, as great as I think this movie's going to be, and I actually do think it's going to be great. Really proud of it. I think it's going to be really funny and really charming and have some really, really fun and cool action sequences in it. And we got amazing performances from literally the best actors I've ever worked with in my life. But there's so much stuff out there, and I'm just like, my brain, no matter how, I'm not even like training myself to have low expectations. I just literally have low expectations. There's something wrong with me. I'm broken. What about you? Speaking of broken,
it's going to find an audience and be awesome, and someone else is going to hire you to make a movie. I have no doubt.
Sure. Now, speaking of making a movie, you have a lot of things going on. I don't know how much of them you can talk about.
I don't know how much I can talk about either, or that I should share about. But yeah, it's just, I'm in this weird time where it's like lots of developing for people that I never thought I would be developing movies for, and I always dreamed of it, but I also don't know how much I can share it. I also have very low expectations for it going anywhere, but very high hopes that it does go somewhere. So I guess I could share that there's a horror movie that has a crazy story that I'm sure I'll share one day, that I'm developing, writing, with Matt Black, one of my writing partners. My other writing partner, besides you, Seth, and then for a major studio. So that's super cool. And then also this sort of action comedy stuff that is another big studio that I won't share about yet, but hopefully
that one is unbelievably awesome. They're both awesome.
Yes.
One is crazy and the other one is awesome and perfect for what. Yeah.
So it's like this weird thing. And then, trying to, shooting the short in December, which I think will be really fun too. And also the first thing I've shot like since Pizza Time in 2019, which I just feel so rusty in terms of like passion projects.
Oh, that's great.
I don't know how you felt when you shot Sketch, like this weird, like, man, it's been a long time since I've shot something like this.
No, the opposite, actually, because I've been doing so many commercials.
That's true.
And I also honestly, it fell at a great time because every other time I tried to get this movie made was before 2021, and 2021 was just a year where 2021 and the second half of 2022, our first half of 2022, I did a lot of commercials. And they were the first time in my life where they've been positive experiences and where I felt like I was actually.
And they're also like incredible commercials that you can feel proud of too.
Well, thanks. And that's the thing is I actually felt like, I'm starting to actually get good at this. And it was so recent that therefore going into the movie, it was the most, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast because we haven't recorded anything since we shot, have we?
Mm-mm.
It was a bizarre experience because for the sole reason that everyone kept asking me questions, like implying that questions are like, basically like, are you getting are you able to get any sleep or like you freaking out right now? Things like that, implying these anxieties that we all kind of associate with this job. Mm-hmm. And I felt none of it. I literally just felt this complete inner peace, like I was right where I belonged. Mm-hmm. And it is not lost on me how lucky I am to be able to feel that way, much less be in a position to feel that way or not feel that way. But it was just it was so weird and reassuring that everyone would ask me some anxiety related question and I'd be like, no, I'm good. I'm either repressing the living hell out of it or I'm actually healthy and
yeah, I remember texting
in a good place.
Texting you on week 2, dude, how you feeling? Because I know we talked about in the past,
the anxiety. We talked about it on the podcast.
Every shoot. Yeah, we talked about it, and I still, even on the smallest things that just don't matter, I still get so anxious and feel sick. But you're after day 3 or 4, it just faded away, and I'm good to go.
It did.
And it was a relief to me because if I have a similar experience, very much looking forward to that on a feature.
Here's the trick.
I'm sure a big part of that too is just having an amazing team around you that
100%.
You start to get into a flow and a rhythm, and there's expectations, and you don't feel like it's all on you to do everything.
It is so imperative that you surround yourself with a good team. We had a great team on this movie. And a DP that I had worked with on commercials, DP named Megan Stacy, Space out of LA. She shot several commercials that I did while I was in LA. But this was it was not her first feature, but it was obviously my first feature and our first time working on a larger project, and a project that was overwhelmingly where I had control of the creative. And it was one of the best creative collaborations I've ever had in my life. And I could say that about almost all the other roles on the team. So with that said, a big part of my ability to not be anxious, to not be crippled, to not have crippling anxiety on the shoot was, and I'm sure this is because I had such a great team, but I wonder how much of it would be there even if I had the worst team ever. Because in the back of my head, I'm like, things that cook, people will be worried, are you worried about weather? Are you worried about COVID? Are you worried about so-and-so? And I'm like, why should I worry about those things? Because obviously if we get shut down because if enough people get COVID or something we're obviously taking all the precautions and everything. And obviously I want everyone to be healthy and be okay. But health aside, if we have to move our schedule around, that's not my job. I'm not the one who's going to have to reschedule all of our cast and crew and make that work. That is literally another person's job.
Which we're so used to doing that on our own shorts or on smaller commercials and different stuff like that.
And I'm just if it's literally not going to be my responsibility, then why the hell should I carry that around with me? I just need to focus on my job and let other people do their job. And that came really easy to me this time around. I don't know. I don't know why, but if anyone out there needs to hear that, literally, if it's not your job, don't worry about it. Just if as a director, you have enough work that's yours. And most of it is just coaching and leading other people's work, and approving. I don't know. I had a blast. It was a really, really, it was a hard shoot, but a really great shoot. Back to you. We came back to me again. Sorry.
I know it's hard because I can't talk about much of it, but it is a very exciting time for opportunities to hopefully make movies in the future on a bigger scale than I thought my first feature. I'll just say one of the possibilities is a Pizza Time feature that I've just been slowly developing, trying to sort of slowly develop on my own time outside of commercial work. But I've been writing it to be a very small scale, indie action comedy, knowing that it's here's how we shot the short version. So what if we just expanded that to 90 minutes with the same scale and sort of attitude of this indie action comedy kind of thing? And Eric Jacobus, the fight choreographer, the guy who played the hitman, he comes from the world of indie action stuff. So it's
are you having to change that now with the people you're talking to?
Yes, I've been encouraged to develop it at basically 15 times the size of what I originally was.
Now, okay, here's my question though. Are you still developing a Pizza Time feature with these folks? Because I thought they had mentioned...
Yes, they still want to see the script. So I was halfway through the script. I'm actually bringing Matt on to help flesh out the first draft.
Oh, so you'll be done tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll be done very soon with this first draft.
This is Matt Black, who has been on the show before.
Yes, he's a phenom. We got to brag on Matt because he is one of the most prolific...
I'm not going to brag on Matt. I'm only going to curse Matt out. Because that asshole writes movies in 30 minutes. He's freaking John Hughes, hyped up on coke, smoking 80 cigarettes, and turning out Ferris Bueller in 2 hours.
It really is incredible. I'm sure you will be seeing, if not directed by Matt, there's a few other directors he writes for. I'm sure we'll be seeing one of his movies very soon.
Within the next 45 minutes.
He actually filmed it yesterday. And
I will just tell you personally, I'm not going to, never mind. Go ahead. Because I don't know everything.
Hey, but you know your experience and that's valuable. So,
I only know my experience and it's very limited. I'll just say I spent 6 years working on this movie, going the studio route. And I was doing what you were doing. I was writing as an independent thing.
Yeah.
And then was encouraged to make it bigger, go bigger, and I went bigger and bigger. And the script I landed on was seemingly too expensive for anything I was going to get to do. We still shot that script for an indie budget, and I don't know if I would change anything, so I don't know if I actually have advice for you.
Well, I think it's also a thing where, just talking about Pizza Time, it is in my mind, it can be a very grounded idea, but it also could be a crazy, batshit crazy idea by the third act just by changing a few things and different scales. So anyways, it's an exciting opportunity. So that's, but also there's some opportunity that for me and you to write and develop some stuff, which I won't talk about, but it's
even from the podcast, right? Like we're actually pitching stuff from the podcast, aren't we?
Yes, I'm planning to bring that stuff to them. They seem very excited just to see any idea that I could possibly direct.
I haven't been keeping up with anything. I sent you, it wasn't even the log line, it was just the pieces, but was that enough of a starting point for you?
Absolutely. Because I was just going to make don't share this on the this next part, Rene, but I do want to talk to you.
Rene, you can just bleep stuff if you want. Make people really interested.
Yeah, that's true. You can bleep stuff. But yeah, he basically was like, just send me some log lines in email if it's something that we like.
I just imagine Rene bleeping that. He was just like, blur, like it sounds like the guy cursed you out. Sorry.
Yes, but he's like, send me some log lines over email if it's something that we were excited about. Like, let's get on a Zoom call and like try to develop a pitch together to. So it was like this really just like, we're just excited to like work on something with you, if it's aligned with what we do.
Are you pitching with actors in mind for anybody?
I don't know. So he said, just send some log lines over email. And then I took that as I'm going to make a fancy 5-page deck that is just like, here's the kind of movie we want to make with like reference images and sort of like almost like your sketch is not, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's the level of commitment to put into it, 100%.
Where it's just like minimal effort, but really cool,
Yeah.
And taking that in just so they get the vibes and they're like, oh, okay, they know what they're doing and they know how to sell stuff. So,
but in my experience, you think that that's going to communicate that, and they're like, meh. You're just like, what? Are you not entertained? It's freaking
so fun.
Anyway,
and it's also in the world of this past year, kind of in this world of like Hollywood, so to quote unquote Hollywood. I mean, the people I'm talking to literally
Hollywood
live
elite.
in Hollywood, but
Hollywood liberals.
Yes, all those Hollywood liberal elite. They're trying to make Texas, California. I'm just kidding. But
oh boy, don't talk about Texas political landscape right now.
But what was I trying to say? Where was I going with this stuff?
I don't know. But remember when you tried to talk to John Carpenter about his movies and you just wanted to talk about the political landscape of Texas?
Brought up Greg Abbott. I'm never gonna. John Carpenter is gonna die one day, and I'm gonna be like the one opportunity I had to meet him. He wanted to talk about our governor,
Greg Abbott.
But anyways, actually being in like the sort of this world where I'm talking to big Hollywood producers and like different production companies and stuff, it is weird how some things in my mind, I was like, yeah, that makes sense why like movies are just so hard to get made. There are some people that just have such that classic Hollywood attitude where it's like, yeah, let's get this thing made. Like I feel really good at like this thing's going to go through, and then just like nothing goes through and they're like, don't worry, like we'll keep working on it. And I'm like, man, I can see why people get stuck in this like pitching ideas for years and like
so you get told that everything is going to happen over and over.
And it seems like everybody's really excited to make content, but then there's always something else that they want to see, or there's always a change they want to make, and it just like you're stuck in this loop of. I
think I talked about this on the podcast, but yeah, like I hit a point a couple of years ago where I was like, I realized what was really happening, which like was that every step of the way where I would have an idea, I pitch the idea to somebody. They'd say, it's great. We want to take it up the line. But first, do you think you can write an outline? Write an outline. Great. Think you can put together a proof of concept? Yep, I can do a proof of like a sizzle, a proof of concept thing. Great. Now, could you? How much pages could you write? Could you maybe have the first act and you want to be ready? Write the first act. It'd be great if it could actually be more than the first act because I feel like we're not really getting the tone. Okay, great. And then eventually it gets to where like, you just need to go make this movie. You got to go make this movie. And we're so excited to see it.
I've been doing it until you give me money to make it.
And then if I did happen to go make the movie, I feel like they'd be like, awesome. What do you got next? What's your next movie? Like,
yeah. You need to make a marketing campaign.
What are we doing with this one?
I think you just need to release this movie.
Yeah. I think you just need to like experience overwhelming success, make somebody a lot of money. So we will then want some of that money. The thing I'll never forget.
I will say that the one lesson that I've learned from this, I always rolled my eyes at in the past, was the fact that our short films kind of worked. Like the opportunities that I've gotten and that Matt have gotten this year have directly come from our short films being online and someone seeing that and being like, holy shit, that was really good.
I thought was over. I thought those days were over.
They were long gone. And it was kind of this thing where it's like, well, we just kind of make short films because I want to make films and that's the only thing I can afford to right now. Where now it's like, this actually this actually kind of did something. And it doesn't happen for everyone. And
Polly?
Yes.
But what you just said, I think is directly related, 100% directly related in that you don't make shorts to try and make features. You're making shorts, the shorts that you've been making because you just want to make movies. And that's the only way that you have available to you right at this moment. Polly, and the fact that you're seeing like career opportunities coming from that, I think is totally related. Because I'll tell you, like,
not just making it to get to the next step, but making it because
not
you
just
want
that,
to make
but
it.
literally making it. Literally, you're not making it to get to the next step. You're making it because I know you. I know you wanted to make Pizza Time so badly, and you made it. I know this experience. It's like all but one of my Red Giant short films, all but one of my short films in general, were all made because that short was the thing. It was I thought of a story, I made that story as a short film, and had no further use for it or purpose for it, and that was it. That was the outlet. And therefore it had some appeal and it created opportunities for me. But the one short that I made as a proof of concept, like honestly, in the grand scheme, did not do anything. It was the sizzle reel for that short that did something. And the jury's still out on whether that's going to go anywhere. But I think it's 100% related. I did want to tell a story when Tony and I were pitching something with my friend Zach Dixon.
Tony, first name basis, the great Tony Hale.
Well, the problem is I mentioned him by first name earlier in the podcast, so I thought I can't just bring up his last name again here because it's going to sound like I'm name dropping it sounds like it sounds like really stupid, but also like it's the only celebrity I know. And I know a lot of celebrities, Polly. I know so many.
I thought you were talking about like Tony, the great Tony from Tony's Pizza, the frozen pizza brand.
Little fat guy in a tomato hat?
Try new Super Rise Pizza from Tony's. The crust rises in your oven.
If you're having Tony's, you're having fun.
What's wrong, buddy? Cat got your tongue?
All right, I'm going to keep telling my story. You can just keep saying stuff. So Zach Dixon, Sam Cowden, and I developed The Carrier. It's an animated show called The Carrier, and I can talk about it because it's the sizzle for it's online and everything. You can go to thecarrier.tv. Incredible. Tony Hale was attached to it and as a producer and as one of the main characters. And the four of us took it out and pitched it a couple years back. And I remember we had a meeting with one of the streamers, like a really good meeting, like really, really, really good meeting. They just totally got it. They understood it. We had an amazing conversation about it. They were so stoked about this. And we got off the Zoom and we're all feeling amazing. Tony immediately calls the three of us. And like not even a minute got by after we got off the Zoom when our phone's ringing and Tony's like, guys, that went really well. I just want to remind you, manage your expectations. It still might not go anywhere. Oh, no. It was like, because
he felt it too.
Like a cynical thing.
Like, we sold it. Yeah.
It felt like at first it felt like a cynical thing, but like no, it was 100% him like taking care of us, our mental health, just preparing. And it's 100% true. Like here's the fun part. We never heard from that streamer, those people that we met with again. In fact, not only that, we aggressively emailed them over the next year. I mean, like at a reasonable rate and
following up,
frequency,
just checking in,
ghosted, pure ghosted, like aggressively ignoring us.
Like you could feel the anger in their non-replies or the.
I've heard stories. I think it was Greg Daniels who told the story on a podcast.
It was Quibi, wasn't it?
Okay, no, Quibi passed like months before they went bankrupt. I think I heard a story Greg Daniels tell where he was telling a story one time he pitched. I think it was Greg Daniels. I'm sorry if it wasn't. He pitched something at one of the studios, like some TV show, and like it was like an amazing meeting. Mm-hmm. Energy was amazing. They were ready to do it. Pretty much committed to it in the room. Gets in his car, drives home. When he gets home, he gets a call from his agent saying they're passing on it. And he was like, so the lesson I learned that day was don't take the 10 home on a Thursday afternoon after a pitch. Like literally there was nothing to learn from it. It's just completely random and there's no way to learn anything.
Just they passed.
They passed.
That's frustrating too, is when
they're dead.
This is not just for movies, but for everything. When like I've had this great opportunity, like in actual like developing and making movies, but this year has been awful for commercials for me. Like I've lost so many commercial pitches this year. It's crazy. But it's like frustrating on those two. It's just like, hey, we decided to, go with someone else, or, just like not hear back. And that's almost,
I've seen some of your pitches. I don't understand that.
That's almost worse when they're like, when we've had someone say, hey, we decided to go with this company because this reason, at least there's something to grow from or something to learn from.
Yes.
Or something to disagree with. But, it's maybe it's not always creative too. It sometimes comes down with price as well. But
one of the best one of the best rejections I ever got was from an executive who said, very bluntly said, because he's an untested director, especially with us, he's never worked for us before on a like tonally complex film. It's just hard to take the risk. And the truth is, it would be easier to take the risk if he wasn't like a white male director right now.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's a really great response to hear for a lot of reasons, like for obvious reasons of like, good. I'm very glad that making it slightly harder for me so it can be slightly easier for more diverse directors. Like, awesome.
Equity.
Yeah. And the other reason
hard
it's
to
good
chew,
is because
makes sense and it's good.
It's kind of hard to chew, but it's a lot easier to chew than they pass. Like, or we love it. Ghost. Like, we love it. Here's a ghost. Unleash the ghost. It's like Mr. Burns, like he pulls the lever and you fall into a trap full of ghosts. All right, that was dumb.
No, I loved it. I loved any Simpsons reference.
Oh my God, you have to go. I should have shut up.
No, it's great.
Ago.
I love this. We came into this episode with nothing planned, and it became like a making movies talk.
It'd be more exciting if you would freaking talk about the things that you have.
If something really falls through or something actually happens, I will absolutely share about it.
And Ryan, I think the point of this whole episode, if you've learned nothing, is that neither of those will probably happen.
Just ghosted forever. Yeah, I bet, I feel like I've been in this, it's like been like 6 months and we're just like still riding on the hope, but it's trying to keep my expectations, low, like, treat it like this probably won't happen, but if it does, it'd be amazing. And just working hard to try to make it happen.
I think the secret, Ryan, is just to be super excited yourself.
Yeah.
And with your friends and family.
Yeah.
And like close friends and family, everyone, and with everyone else, be level.
It's just, that's a good idea. It's also hard when friends and family are like, so what's the update on that project? And it's like, still the same as it was 3 months ago. Still the same as it was 6 months ago. I'm
being the biggest asshole to people right now who ask me like how the editing's going.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, or like how, so what's next? So you're editing it right now, I'm guessing, like, when do you do visual effects? Are you going to bring other people on? When do you? And I'm like, please let me just go make it. And I have no exciting information to give you at this moment. I am literally just still sitting at my computer editing, and it makes me resent people for being excited about me and my movie. Yeah. I know the feeling.
Oh yeah, dude, Seth. Well, I'm excited to jump back into the show with you. Season 4, the Writers' Room game show.
Yeah,
we should do some more action comedy ideas for the season, just cause.
Okay, done. For the action comedy season, we'll just be doing. Actually, okay, fine. We're just. I'm going to say now, we're just going to be writing action comedies
for this season.
This season.
I will say though, I do have I tried to at least schedule out sort of release, and I think it'd be fun to hit some of the major holidays again. We've got we'll have Thanksgiving and Christmas episodes. I definitely think would be nice. We've got The Greeter was the Thanksgiving episode 1 year. Of course, we had Enter the Santaverse, which is just the best. We got to bring Santa back for Christmas, and we're
gonna we're bringing Santa back.
We will, since we're alternating game show and talk show. Around Valentine's Day, I think it'll land. A game show will land right around then. So I feel like we need a rom-com for Valentine's Day this season.
Wasn't there a very first episode then?
Yes, actually, right. It was a Hallmark episode. It was
Domesticated.
What do we call it? Domesticated. Yeah, that's right. That's a good one.
Yeah, sure.
But maybe the Valentine's Day episode is when we'll actually bring our wives in and do what we planned for them.
We're gonna have to write an erotic thriller action comedy.
Yes, I love it. So should have a fun show coming up.
Fun.
I think next week we'll do another talk show to prep for the upcoming season, and then we'll get on to our regular schedule. That sound good,
Ryan?
Yeah,
it sounds very good.
Okay, well, do we have a sign off here, Seth?
Bye.
I don't know. The Writers' Room Game Show with me, Ryan Pollock, and Seth Worley. Executive produced by Grant Wakefield at Weekend Video and Ann Fogerty at Plot Devices. Edited to perfection by Rene Gomez. Our art is by your buddy, Meg Lewis, and our face-melting music is by Ben Worley. The Writers Room Game Show is a Weekend Video production in association with Plot Devices. Learn more about Weekend Video at weekend.video and check out writersroomgame.show to listen to all of our episodes and suggest your own prompts for future shows. And don't forget to rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts. It really helps our show out a lot. See you in the next one.